Welcome back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. George McMillan III stuck around. It might be 3, 4, 5 days down the line for you. As you can see by our shirts, it is the same day for us. George, it's been such a long time, and it's so good to have you on for such a long time. We've talked about almost everything there is to talk about, but there are some things left to cover. We played that Trump video, and you said you wanted to react to it in the next one. Do you want to say anything before we get into it?
No, just go for it.
All right. Both of us, and let's go for
He's still
Trump.
there. Would you be willing to take NATO expansion off the table if that's what it took to get the Russians and the Ukrainians to make a deal? Would you be willing to do that?
So for 20 years, I heard that NATO, if Ukraine goes into NATO, it's a real problem for Russia. I've heard that for a long time. And I think that's really why this war started. I'm not sure that this war would have started. Biden was saying all of the wrong things. And one of the wrong things, he was saying, no, Ukraine will go into NATO. That's one of the many things he said. When I listened to him speak, I said, this guy is going to start a war. Because as you know, for 4 years, there was never even talk of Russia going into Ukraine. That would have never happened. Russia was not going to attack Ukraine.
You want to hear Nigel Farage on the same subject, and then we can go into it?
I stood up in the European Parliament in 2014, and I said, and I quote, there will be a war in Ukraine. Why did I say that? It was obvious to me that the ever eastward expansion of NATO and the European Union was giving this man a reason to his Russian people to say they're coming for us again and to go to war.
This man, this evil Russian man.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, he can read a map. If you can read a map, you're evil.
George, good to have you back. Everybody who's new here, this is a comedy show, in case you're not aware. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. George, we've got a bunch of other videos queued up. What do you want to get into? What is the point of today's talk? Do you want to give us a little preview?
Oh, I want you to play that DW video, the Russian Gazprom corrupt politician and greed of the West video.
Let's see here.
Cue up that first minute.
No, not this one. The greed of the West. Greed of the West. That's the one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
The gas business, a source of conflict since the Cold War. That's because the gas Europe so desperately needed came from Russia, a partnership that creates major political dependency.
So this was all seen as part of an overall Soviet strategy to weaken the West and to break up NATO.
Fears that were by no means unfounded.
Using oil and gas dependencies as a political weapon was common practice in the Warsaw Pact.
Is that enough?
All right. Yeah, now go to the 20-minute. Yeah, about the 20-minute mark, about the 30 mark maybe.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Pipelines was the right thing in principle. But how dependent am I making myself?
By the way, in case it's not obvious, Deutsche Welle documentary credits go to them, blah, blah, blah. YouTube, be nice.
An article, Steinmeier criticized Frank Umbach's view. The latter had warned against excessive dependence on Siberian gas in a new Cold War.
That led to a dispute with Mr. Steinmeier, he said. No, this isn't a Cold War. It's part of our Ostpolitik, so to speak. We can't return to a new East-West conflict. That's old thinking. We need new thinking. In fact, this amounts to wishful thinking, and ultimately, it's something akin to a collective denial of reality.
There is a school of foreign policy that asserts the deeper the economic relations are, the more harmonious the foreign policy relationships are. But it wasn't about a historical disagreement about the power of trade to change foreign policy. It was about this person and his policy and the risk that he posed.
It wasn't interdependence, all right.
Cue dramatic music.
All right. The reason why I wanted to cue up Putin, and in the first part of that video, and was Mark Goodwin, David Goodwin, whatever his name was, Ambassador Goodwin. Okay. Let's go to the DW video. It starts out with the United States has been trying to stop Russian gas from going to Eastern Europe in the late 1950s, early 1960s. If people play the whole video through, it shows JFK signing a document, and so it's early 1960s, right? And then if you fast forward over to the 2040 mark or whatever that is, close to the 21-minute mark, when Ambassador Goodwin is talking, he starts talking about it's not about Russian natural gas, it's just about Putin. The problem is, when was Putin born? In the 1950s? So this plan of the Central Intelligence Agency trying to stop Russian natural gas was about Putin when he was in diapers? But it's just about Putin? I mean, what Ambassador Goodwin is saying at near the 21-minute mark isn't what the movie starts out as. So he says it's not about natural gas. Well, no, if the policy started late 50s, early 60s, when Putin was in diapers, it's about the natural gas. It's not about Putin. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there first.
You can't say that, man. That's Russian propaganda. Anything.
No, I just said that.
and you did it with the same video. You didn't even do two videos proving your point. You proved your point within one video of Deutsche Welle.
Okay. So the other thing I want to say is Ambassador Goodwin starts talking about, there's a segment of international relations theory that talks about the closer the economic integration, the closer the military integration. All right. That part of international relations theory is Pomesian dime modeling, like I've been talking about for like 2 years now. Why am I talking about it? Because instruments of national power, that's how strategic modelers think. So, yeah, he alludes to it. Then everything that the United States does is based on stopping Russian natural gas. Now, again, we got a video on it. We'll go over the slide set eventually. Right now, we're just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. But in Alfred Thayer Mahan's theory of sea power versus other sea powers, written in just after the Civil War, he starts talking about you can use sea power to choke off another sea power's trade. Now, countries have production and they convert it to wealth by selling it for selling what they have abroad for cash, and then using the cash to buy things that they need, so that production or that conversion of production, what you have versus what you need to develop, is called wealth. So foreign policy is based on, whether sea power versus sea power or the Mackinder theories of sea power versus land power, it's about stopping countries from exporting product, getting cash, buying things from a third party, and then that becomes wealth. With Saudi Arabia, it's really simple. It's they had no development at all until they struck oil, and then all of a sudden they had billions of dollars flowing in, and they started, them and UAE and Kuwait and Bahrain and all those countries just started rapidly modernizing, with modern infrastructure. But once you modernize with modern infrastructure, then you're diplomatically, militarily, tied to whoever your trading partners are, because you're transforming production to wealth. So the production has to go out, and the stuff that you're buying has to come back in. In this case, it's you have to have oil extraction equipment come in. You're drilling the oil. If you're going to add refineries, then you're actually exporting the finished good. And then you're going to be importing in everything else that you want to bring in. It's going to be infrastructural. It's also going to be exotic, regular cars, exotic cars, and everything else. So United States NATO policy is about cutting off Russia's export of oil and gas. In Mahan's, in Mahan's era, it was about cutting off seaports. So back then it was St. Petersburg, Rostov-on-Don in the Azov Sea, in the Black Sea, and about Vladivostok area in the Sea of Japan. Because Russia, it's a huge country with only 3 ports that are not on the Arctic. Well, when you have trains also going overland and then pipelines going overland, then Mahan's theory shifts to overland supply routes. Corbett was the one that answered Mahan, talking about the advent of the transcontinental railroads was going to decrease the importance of sea power and shift it towards overland integration as far as railroads and then later on pipelines. So they want to move the EU and NATO east to block the pipelines and the railroads, because if they can block in the ports all they want, Russia just sends stuff overland to their immediate partners. Oh, okay. So yeah, go back to those. Go back to your next video, or go back to that.
You want
DW
this one?
video.
Do you want this one?
Yeah.
Russia's energy empire.
Home to the world's
Right.
biggest natural gas reserves. The gas is needed, especially
good.
in Europe.
Everything
Yeah,
you need to know in the first 7 seconds.
Yeah, I only need a little bit of this just to get the point across. So Russia's, like Saudi Arabia, they're selling natural gas, but okay, back when it was the Soviet Union, they didn't want the Soviet Union to get up-to-date Western technology. Now, in this video and some of the other ones, they talk about the different West German advanced tool companies selling them the oil extraction equipment and the pipeline construction equipment. What happened during I gotta think, when was it? Early 1980s, 1982. Oh, it's also in this video. It is in this video, where they talk about when Russia was purchasing pipeline equipment. They got those big compressors from United Technologies in Canada. They're Pratt & Whitney engines, similar to jet engines, but they don't have a spark. They're just compressors. So anyway, the software to run those things, the agency had hijacked the software. So when they sent the pipeline equipment to Eastern Siberia, to the pipeline fields to push the gas east or west, rather, they overpressurized and they blew up. It was like the biggest explosion. It was actually seen from the satellites in space. And then after that, I already talked in the other videos about how Alfred Herhausen had been killed by an EFP blast in, what was that, 1989? No, 88,
That was the
89,
Deutsche
somewhere
Bank
in there.
executive, right? That was that Deutsche
Yeah, the
Bank
Deutsche
executive, right? We'll leave a link
Right.
somewhere. Got to take a note of the time.
Yeah, he was the one that put that deal together. He's the one that financed it, that organized the Western equipment to go to to go to the Soviet Union at the time. At the time I was a lot younger then, but I didn't have white hair. I keep on saying so I understand why they would want to keep the Soviet Union from expanding. But after the Berlin Wall fell and Russia stopped becoming the Soviet Union and then switched back, from atheistic communism to pro-Orthodox Christian, pro-free markets, and again, Jeffrey Sachs talks about this all the time in his videos, they should have welcomed that, right? That would have been Kantian's peace triangle to promote trade. Well, no. And I wanted people to see that statement by Ambassador Goodwin, because it's totally to stop Russia from integrating with Western Europe, because the Kantian peace triangle is democratic republics and economic interdependency equals peace. So economic interdependency under Kantian peace triangle theory is supposed to promote peace. So they should have wanted it, right? But no, they were against it. And again, why are they against it? Because ultimately it goes back to the center of political gravity. Centers of political gravity are focused on trading blocks. The trading bloc is the EU trading bloc in Western Europe, which the Marshall Plan was built on funding. So you want to increase that. And you increase it by going to the border and stopping the Russian flow of natural gas that would then shift the allegiances to Berlin. Between Berlin and Moscow is the one that they want to stop. So it's got nothing to do with Putin. It's about the natural gas flowing. Now, Putin's big deal when he came into power was the Western companies were taking the profits and exporting it out of Russia so Russia could never develop. That's what we did the Russian strategic plan on like 2 years ago now. We need to actually revive that and go over it again. Because this is specifically, the DW video has several US ambassadors in it and/or energy experts that just say it's about stopping Putin. No, it's about stopping an import substitution investment strategy that Putin is using. So he's using the natural gas and oil as an export-led growth strategy to then take the profits and start modernizing internally so they can have a more robust economy. The West has moved the EU East to form economic unions to then have NATO standards riders in those EU agreements. So then they would have to start buying foreign military sales from NATO countries. So they're trying, in Phoenician dime language, I'll use that because it's easier. They're trying to move economic integration, and have the FMS NATO riders are there to promote diplomatic and military integration. But then they have to stop the infrastructural and economic integration of Russia. Now, trading blocs want to expand. They don't want someone in their trading bloc to leave the EU, like Germany is what they're afraid of, leaving the petrodollar, trading in rubles, and then forming a bloc with Russia, because then the political center of gravity shifts. Again, it's over the political center of gravity shifting. It's nothing about Putin.
I had to, man. It's a comedy show. I have to like break it up a bit with like really bad jokes, a little bit.
Yeah.
The petrodollar is falling apart, man. The petrodollar is falling apart. Like there's no more petrodollar. Like, did you miss the news that the Russians are trading in like all kinds of different currencies, and everybody else, including the Saudis, are trading in like all different kinds of currencies?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The sanctions have become a self-fulfilling prophecy of bringing about exactly what it is they're supposedly trying to prevent.
Yeah.
And again, I keep on posting, their integration with China, because the Five Power Center doctrine of George Kennan, Ambassador Kennan, in 1947-50 was about getting into Central Asia and trying to split Russia and China apart. Nixon Kissinger's strategy was about trading with China because they realized that non-market communism didn't work, farm collectivization didn't work, none of that worked. So they started going back towards socialism, free markets, and then they started liberalizing more and more, and ever since. So Kissinger's strategy was to separate Russia and China by trading them. Well, okay, so 40, 50 years on, it's just created a Frankenstein's monster. Now China is developed and integrating with Russia. It's completely backfired. And then the United States under Biden administration increases the sanctions on Russia, increases the sanctions on China. Well, that's driven them closer together. You have enough people in China and India and in Southeast Asia that they can survive just fine on those, because there's billions. Okay, there's 1.7 billion people in India and rising, 1.5 billion in China, actually falling. But there's enough markets of scale to match the economies of scale for Eurasia to grow and not need the West so much. Plus, they got the other BRICS countries to trade in. So that's why they're doing, again, I call the Russia and China integration an overland, integration strategy. And then basically the Chinese Silk Road program, to build ports in the Indian Ocean and deal with Africa and deal with South America more, that's a breakout strategy. So integration and breakout strategy versus the sea power encirclement strategy. So it's all about sea power and land power strategies.
In that last academic style video, or the second half of that video, we got into some of the books on the last slide, but we didn't get into all of them. Would you want to maybe cover some of these again, or go into some of those details, or do you want me to continue with the? Go on.
Yeah, I mean, just I mentioned the Kantian peace triangle that comes from Kant's eternal peace. Supposedly when I took my international relations theory, the classical liberals, not the far left ones, but they were, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, it was supposed to be a new day of human friendship, which again the neocons have sabotaged. No, let's go into that. We'll go into that discussion of these books. Yeah, if I start going over those things, we'll be here all night.
It's already all night for me. It's like the longest. This is the longest marathon recording that I've had since basically I've had you on. Most people don't have time or the let's say ability to like just go off the top of their head like you do.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff in these. I'm looking at the rest of the DW video. I'm just clicking through it real quick to see if there's anything else to bring up. There's the Russian energy empire one. You have that one up?
Not this. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? No. Why sanctions won't stop Russia?
Hold on a second. Russian. Hold on a second. Let me send it to you again.
Oh, Russian's energy empire. There we go. 1 minute?
Yeah. Okay. Go back Yeah, there's play like the first minute of that. I want people to watch these videos in their
Russia,
entirety.
home to the world's biggest natural gas reserves. The gas is needed, especially in Europe. And the end of the Cold War ushered in an era of conflicting energy dependencies and concern in the West.
You're giving the Soviet Union hard currency, and they're using that to build up their military, and this is going to come back to haunt us.
Meanwhile, the 1980s marked the beginning of one man's extraordinary career.
As a case officer, you have to be able to manipulate people.
There is no such a thing as former KGB guy.
Gas is one of his two main tools for coercion, for leverage, for influence.
Soviet traditions continue.
Soviet traditions.
Oil and gas dependencies as a political weapon was par for the course in the Warsaw Pact.
One of the world's most powerful men has strategically wielded what's probably his most effective weapon. With the help of Gazprom, Vladimir Putin has implemented policies designed to strike fear into the wider world.
The whole purpose of Nord Stream.
We can stop it there. I don't want to watch the whole movie. I just want people actually to watch these things. And yeah, okay, energy is used as a weapon by everybody. You know, the United States cut Japan off of oil during the 1930s. And how did Japan respond? They responded by going into Southeast Asia and taking over the oil fields in Indonesia and taking over the factories and plantations and everything else. So again, here you have the United States. They want to prevent other people from using oil and gas as a weapon. So again, the United States, Western European strategy is to block all Russian ports and pipelines. And again, how is Russia and China integration and breakout strategy? So they're doing all of that. Yeah, we actually really should redo that Russian strategic plan paper again.
We can definitely do that. I just wanted to bring attention to some of the topics that we discussed in the other talks that we did recently. We've got a graphic here of the oil fields outside of Palestine. It says Israel on the map, but the map is not right. It should say Palestine there. So these are Palestinian oil fields that we discussed, and there are other ones up north, as you said. That's one graphic that I wanted to get out there.
To be historically correct, it should just say the Levant.
Then there's these Iranian pipelines that you also mentioned. From Bandar Abbas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Going up north to the Caspian Sea.
Yeah, okay.
Basically. So I just wanted to put these graphics out there for people to see.
Yeah, I've seen the ones on the Baku side, but I never did make it over to the ones on the Turkmenistan side. Some of my friends have, but I haven't.
Also, shout out to the subs who are always there for the premieres. Get that out of the way. And thank you to all the Patreons. We've got a quote here. He who dares not offend cannot be honest. Do you think we offended anyone today?
Well, we don't want to maximally. We can minimally offend people without getting into that.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah.
Did you miss these talks with the working brother?
Every day.
Where else can people find you? Because you told me that you went on some other shows, but you never sent me links.
Oh, okay. I've been over the winter. I was on Stuart Turley's Energy Newsbeat show, but those videos are on our Raven Geostrategic site that's now up.
Oh, nice. So they're going to be on your site, which
Yeah,
we will leave.
RavenGeostrategic.com.
Excellent. We'll leave a link in the description so people can find you there.
Yeah, the analysts and academicians love my presentation style because they're getting several semesters worth of stuff in 2 hours. If you're familiar with the material, I put in a lot of missing pieces because, like, I put up those books before. A bunch of people have been talking about the philosophical and social sciences should be coordinated, but they didn't know how to get a research design to generate an explanatory theory in order to generate a Cartesian model. You know, which frameworks should be selected, and then how to generate a two-force physics style model also. All right. So I take those methodologies and I'm applying to both internal domestic politics with the 7P plan and the geostrategic plan, the geostrategic analysis with the sea power versus land power strategies. Again, the sea power versus land power strategies are out on the geopolitical end of my model. The 7P plan would be in the political psychological end of the aspect of the model. So it's just a way to, I take my methodologies and I apply them to real world things. So on Stuart Turley's website, I haven't been on in a while. I got to, get back on with you, get back on with him. But I'm getting 5,000 to 6,000 views per video per day for several months. And the people that are looking at my videos or looking at the videos, they're watching the video several times and they're reading the transcripts over several times. So they're checking out my sources of information, which I want them to. The voice to text version is never going to be good because it's going to totally mangle the place names that I say. It always mangles those things. But the analysts, like what I'm saying because they know what pieces. The reason why I have the books out and the information is there's certain gaps in the knowledge and I'm filling those specific gaps of knowledge. The layperson doesn't understand what isn't going to recognize the knowledge gaps I'm filling and why it's important. So unfortunately, I have to gear my stuff to the analyst side and the academician side.
Hey, we don't mind it here. We've got followers and subscribers of all calibers and how should I say, interests. I mean, you gotta be a little crazy to be subscribed to the Working Brother and think that this is really a comedy show.
Well, for people that want to become analysts, this would be the show. Yes.
I recently got a comment that this is the best hidden secret of the internet. So in any case, another meme.
That. You have some interesting guests. We need to do a roundtable one of these days.
Oh, that would be technically
difficult.
Challenging. Let's put it at challenging for now. Not difficult. It's not impossible. It's everything is possible. But I've had one, but that was kind of like an in-studio thing. So we'll see how it goes.
StreamYard can do that easily.
Have you covered everything that you wanted to, basically, with that whole?
We have enough for today. I wanted people to watch those DW videos for themselves. We don't need to play the whole thing. I want people to watch it themselves. Okay, so they know I'm not making this shit up, right? Okay, but watch it themselves, but then understand the logical incongruity of each films. Because they had the CEO of BASF on talking about he funded the Nord Stream deal because otherwise BASF plants on the Rhine River can't continue. So the United States has shut off the natural gas going to Germany, and now they've had to move to China because the plant, either you got to bring the natural gas to the plant or you got to move the plant to the natural gas. So now a whole bunch of German industry has to leave Germany. The reason why I state that, I got a very long written paper on this. If the United States is going to eventually lose Germany, they want to deindustrialize it before they give it away. And that's a part that people do not get about the geostrategic theories and trading blocks.
Yeah, it's like that whole idea of all the Ukrainians that are dying are actually future Russians that are being killed by...
It's like, you know, if a sports team has an athlete, they'll let him go after he's old and used up. And trading block strategies, okay, they don't age like athletes do, but you can debilitate them by deindustrializing them somehow. And in this case, it's raised the price of energy to where Volkswagen and Audi and, you know, Porsche, BMW and Mercedes, they become cost prohibitive, or they just have to move their production to Malaysia or Thailand, or Malaysia and Thailand is where they have their factories, and some in India.
Yeah. What can I say? The world is changing, multipolarism and all that good stuff. I'm going to pop up another meme. You being in Texas, this is kind of relative. Biden. This is an old meme, though. No,
What's my discussion on that?
Do you want to get into the southern border or not? Not this time. In brief, because you told me that you visited and you wanted to like cover some of that too.
Let's do that in a separate video, because we did the 7P plan in terms of changing the curriculum, and we started just to keep things real simple. We just put it in terms of the Montesquieu, Hume Smith versus Rousseau, Marx, Engels thought lineage. Of course, the Montesquieu, Hume Smith theories have been radically upgraded with the advances in evolutionary theory, post-Freudian psychology, and then when you get into their economic theories, they've been radically upgraded by Solow Swan models, Baumol's sectoral development theories, Rostow's economic growth theories. They've been radically expanded. So I mean, when I say that, I mean to include all the advances in that side of the theory. So yeah, I just wanted to get that across. So when we do the 7P plan, what the left really needs to do now is turn Texas and Florida into blue states, so they're flooding it with illegal aliens. There's a whole bunch of other strategies too. If you increase the amount of voters by illegal aliens in the blue states, then when they do the census, the blue states are then awarded more congressmen. So it shifts the balance. It shifts the balance in the legislatures. There's a whole bunch of things. I got a big list of them, so we're not going to get into it now. But next time we do the next version of the 7P plan, I want to get into the mass migration issues, but I need the population growth charts up there.
All right. I think that's all we've got time for today. George, thank you for stopping by. We've got an amazing turtle story here in the background for those of you who are watching and stuck around to the end. Is there anything that you might want to say, George, while this outro goes on?
Oh no, we'll just we'll do another one whenever you can. A couple days, tomorrow.
All right, we'll be recording soon. Everybody who stuck around, thank you for sticking around. Drop a like, share this stuff, and yeah, I saw in the statistics somebody shared my videos in Slack. I got like links from Slack, so whoever's sharing my videos at work, thank you. Keep doing that. All right, everyone, peace out.